Good morning students. So this is physics class 11th chapter number 4 and lecture number 2. In this lecture we will be continuing with vectors which we were studying in lecture number 1. Okay, so let us start with sine law. In the last lecture we studied about the parallelogram law of vectors and cosine law. So today we'll start with sine law. Okay, so this is the same diagram that you have made in your last lecture. These are two vectors. Theta is the angle between them, alpha is the angle between resultant and A. Okay, so these are two perpendiculars drawn. Okay, so now always remember in this sine law we will be calculating sine of angle, that is sine alpha, sine theta, etc. in all the triangles. Okay, so first of all let us consider the triangle ONS. Okay, so in this we will calculate sine alpha. Now as you know, sine alpha is perpendicular upon hypotenuse. So perpendicular is NS and hypotenuse is your R. Okay, so from here NS will come to be R sine alpha. Mark it first equation. After that consider a triangle HNS, that is HNS. Okay, so because this is a line parallel to vector A and this is a line parallel to vector B, so this angle will also be theta. Now calculate sine theta. So sine theta will be again NS upon this and this is nothing but B. So sine theta will be NS upon B. From here NS will come to be B sine theta. Mark it 2. Now from first and second, R sine alpha will be equal to B sine theta. So therefore R sine alpha will be equal to B sine theta, or you can write it as R upon sine theta will be equal to B upon sine alpha. Okay, so mark it third equation. Now again in triangle OPH. Now in triangle OPH, again we will calculate sine alpha. Okay, so sine alpha will be PH, that is perpendicular upon hypotenuse. Hypotenuse will be A for this. Okay, so sine alpha will be PH upon A. So sine alpha is PH upon A, or you can say PH is equals to A sine alpha. Now again if we consider triangle HPN. In triangle HPN we will calculate sine beta. Let's say this angle is beta. So sine beta will be PH upon hypotenuse. So hypotenuse is this. So PH upon B, because this is nothing but B. So sine beta will be PH upon B. So from here PH will come to be B sine beta. Now from 4 and 5 again A sine alpha will be equal to B sine beta. So A sine alpha will be equal to B sine beta, or you can write it as B upon sine alpha will be equal to A upon sine beta. Now if you look in your third equation, from there R upon sine theta was equal to B upon sine alpha, and from this B upon sine alpha is equal to A upon sine alpha, sine beta. So from third and sixth equation you can say R upon sine theta will be equal to B upon sine alpha will be equal to A upon sine beta. So this is nothing but sine law, in which we have calculated the relation between the vector, resultant and all the angles. Okay. Of vectors. Basically resolution of vector means when we divide a single vector into two components. That is, we are dividing a single vector into two component vectors. Okay. For example, suppose we have a vector A which is making an angle theta with axis PQ. Okay, so if this is theta, you can easily say this will be 90 minus theta. Okay, so now if I calculate cos theta, so cos theta is base upon hypotenuse. So base is PQ and hypotenuse will be PA. So cos theta will be PQ upon PA, or I can say PQ will be PA cos theta. Now PA is nothing but vector A. Magnitude of A. Okay, so this is vector A, but this length will be equal to magnitude of A. So PQ will be A cos theta, where A is magnitude of vector A. So you can say PQ will come to be A cos theta. Okay, now similarly if I calculate cos 90 minus theta, again it will be base upon hypotenuse. So in this case base is PR and hypotenuse is again A. So PR will come to be A cos 90 minus theta. Now if you solve cos 90 minus theta, because 90 is there, this will be interchanged to sine, and 90 minus theta means first quadrant, and in first quadrant all are positive. So answer will be sine theta. So we can say PQ will be A cos theta and PR will be A sine theta. So now this vector A has been resolved into two components of A cos theta and A sine theta. So now to remember this, always remember, if a vector makes theta angle with the axis, then for that axis you will write down cos theta, that is A cos theta, and for the perpendicular axis, other perpendicular axis, you will write down A sine theta. Okay, so जिसके साथ angle बनेगा, you will use that for A cos theta. Okay, so this is called resolution of vectors. Okay, so the next topic is law of triangles. So it states that if two vectors are represented in direction and magnitude by two sides of a triangle taken in same order, then their resultant vector is represented by a third side of triangle taken in opposite order. That is, if A and B are two vectors which are taken as side of triangles which are in same order. See, this is going in this side, again this is going in this side. Okay, so now their resultant will be the another side of triangle taken in opposite order. Now if you look clearly, this is going in this direction, this is going in this direction. So the next vector should go in this direction, but the resultant should be in opposite order. So it will be in this direction. So this is the resultant of the vector A and B. So this is your triangle law, and again all those equations are valid here which we have calculated in parallelogram for resultant. That is, resultant is under root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Okay, so now we can write it as, see, A and B are in same direction. So if we take A plus B, that will be equal to R because R is in opposite direction. Or you can say A plus B minus R will be equal to 0 because R is in opposite direction. So A plus B will be equals to R. Similarly, if you have any triangle, the arrows or the vectors which are in same order, they will be taken on one side, and the other order, your other order vector will be taken in opposite side. Okay, so that means A plus B is equals to R. Okay, so now as you can look here, this is the tail of vector A, this is the head of vector A. Similarly, this is the tail of vector B and this is the head of vector B. That means to do the addition, that is for A plus B, we have to put the head of one tail over the tail of other. As you can look here, I have put head of vector A over the tail of vector B. That means when you put head and tail of the two vectors over each other, you will get resultant vector to be the addition of those two vectors. Okay, and by triangle law, A and B are in same order and your resultant vector is in opposite order. Now suppose if I want to do the subtraction, then let us suppose if I reverse the direction of A. So now as you can look here, I have reversed the direction of A. B is kept in same direction and now I am denoting it by X vector. Okay, this is also kept in same direction as R was there in the initial diagram. Okay, so now if you use triangle law here, see, A and X are now in same direction. So I can put A plus X will be equal to B because now B is in opposite direction. A and B are in same order. So because B is in opposite order, so A plus X will come to be equal to B. Or you can say X will come to be equal to B minus A. And now if you see clearly here, to get the subtraction, we have put tail of A vector over the tail of B vector. So we can say to get addition of two vectors, head of one vector should be over the tail of other, and to get subtraction of two vectors, either head or tail of both the vectors should be over each other. Okay. Vectors are not multiplied simply as the scalars are multiplied. For vector multiplication, we have two products, that is dot product and cross product. So first of all, let us study about dot product. So the formula of dot product is A dot B is equals to AB cos theta. So A dot B, this is called a dot product and its formula is AB cos theta, where A and B are magnitudes of vector A and B and theta is the angle between A and B vector. Okay. Now when you will solve any dot product, the result will always be a scalar quantity. Okay, so let us look here. If I calculate I dot I, now you know I cap is a unit vector which is parallel to x-axis. So I dot I, according to this formula, this should be the magnitude of I cap, and the angle between them. So as you know, the magnitude of a unit vector is 1. So this will be 1. Again, magnitude of I cap is 1 into 1 into, now I cap and I cap are parallel to each other. So angle between them is 0. Now cos 0 is 1. So this will come to be 1. So that means I dot I is always 1. Similarly, j dot j will come to be 1. And similarly, k dot k will also come to be 1. Okay, now if I calculate I dot j, again their magnitude is 1. But now the angle between them is 90 degrees. So cos 90 is 0. So I dot j will be 0. Similarly, j dot k will also be 0 or k dot I will also be 0. So you can remember like this, if there are same things, that is I dot I, j dot j, k dot k in dot product, the answer will be 1. And if there are different vectors, then the answer will be 0. Okay. Okay, so now let us take two vectors A and B and let us see how to calculate their dot product and how to calculate the angle between them. Okay, so A vector is AX I cap plus AY j cap plus AZ k cap. That means AX is the component of A vector in X direction, AY is the component of A vector in Y direction, and AZ is the component of A vector in Z direction. Similarly, B is Bx I cap plus By j cap plus Bz k cap. Okay, now we have to calculate A dot B. So A is this. So what we'll do, first of all, we'll put the values of A and B. So this is A dot, this is your B. Okay, now how to solve this? So first of all, we'll simply do as we do in the brackets, multiplication bracket. So first this is multiplied by all three, then this will be multiplied by all three, and then this will be multiplied by all three. So similarly, we'll be doing here. See, AX I cap dot BX I cap. Now you know I dot I is 1. So that means we will be left with AX BX. So this will be AX BX. Now AX I cap dot BY j cap. Now as you know I dot j is 0. So therefore this answer will come to be 0. Again AX I cap dot BZ k cap. Again I dot k is 0, so therefore this will also be 0. Now AY j cap dot BX I cap. Again j dot I is 0, so this will also be 0. Now AY j cap dot BY j cap. See, j cap dot j cap is 1, so therefore we'll get the answer to be AY BY. Okay. Again AY j cap dot BZ k cap. Again j cap dot k cap is 0, so answer will come to be 0. Similarly, now for AZ k cap and BX I cap, k dot I is 0, so answer will again be 0. Similarly, for k cap dot j cap, this one, answer will again be 0. And for AZ k cap dot BZ k cap dot k cap will be 1, so answer will be AZ BZ. So from here you can say A dot B will be nothing but AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ. That is, A dot B is nothing but multiplication of X component of both the vectors plus multiplication of Y components of both the vectors plus multiplication of Z components of both the vectors. Now, if you have to calculate the angle between them, then we can calculate the angle by dot product only. See, you know the formula A dot B is magnitude of A into magnitude of B into cos theta, where theta is the angle between A and B. So from here, cos theta will come to be A dot B upon magnitude of A, magnitude of B. Okay, so now as we have calculated, A dot B is AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ and upon magnitude of A and magnitude of B. And you also know, to calculate the magnitude of any vector, the formula is under root of A square plus B square plus C square. So this is the AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ. Magnitude of A will be under root of AX square plus under root of AX square plus AY square plus AZ square. Similarly, magnitude of B will be under root of BX square plus BY square plus BZ square. So this will be square. Okay, so now let us see one question based on these formulas. Okay, so let us now look at the question. If vector A is this, vector B is this, you have to calculate the angle between the two vectors. Okay, so if you are given such type of question, you can use dot product in such questions. Now you know A dot B is AB cos theta, where theta is the angle between A and B. So from here I can write it as cos theta will be equal to A dot B upon magnitude of A into magnitude of B. Okay, so now put the all the values. So vector A is this, so A dot vector B. Okay, so this is magnitude of A, that is under root of 2 square plus 3 square plus 4 square, under root of 2 square plus 3 square and similarly magnitude of vector B. Okay, now you can easily solve these parts, but how do you solve this? See, we will simply multiply as we used to multiply in brackets. First of all, 2 I cap will be multiplied by 8 I cap. Now you know I dot I is 1 and 8 into 2 will be 16. Again 2 I cap will be multiplied by 6 k cap, but no, as you know I dot k cap is 0, so the answer will be 0. Again 3 j cap dot 8 I cap, j cap dot I cap is 0, so this answer will also be 0. Now 3 j cap dot 6 k cap, again j cap dot k cap is 0, so this answer will also be 0. 4 k cap dot 8 I cap, again this will be 0. So the last is 4 k cap dot 6 k cap. Now k dot k will be 1 and 4 into 6 will be 24. So the answer for this will come to be 16 plus 24, and I have just solve the square terms here. So when you will add 16 plus 24, it will become 40 under root 29 under root 100, or you can say cos theta will come to be 4 upon under root 29. Okay, so now from here theta, if I take cos that side, so theta will come to be cos inverse of 4 upon under root 29. So this is the angle between vector A and vector B. Okay, so remember, if you are asked to calculate angle between two vectors, then you can use dot product. So now, as I told you in the last lecture, we write down position vector as xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap, and if I calculate its magnitude, it will come to be under root of x square plus y square plus z square. Similarly, we will see how we can write down position vector, how we can write down velocity vector and acceleration vector. Okay, so now you know velocity is the dx by dt, and because here is we are taking position vector to be r, so we will take dr by dt, because velocity is nothing but displacement upon time, so dr by dt. Now if I put the value of r in this differentiation, so this is differentiation with respect to t, so this will become dx by dt I cap plus dy by dt j cap plus dz by dt k cap. I have just put value of r in this from here, this r. Okay, so now if you look, dx by dt is nothing but component of velocity in x direction, so I am writing it as vx. Similarly, this is the component of velocity in y direction, so vy, and dz by dt as vz. So this is your velocity vector, which is vx I cap plus vy j cap plus vz k cap. Similarly, now you know acceleration is dv by dt. Again, if I put value of v from here, it will become dvx by dt I cap plus dv by dt j cap plus dvz by dt k cap. Again, dvx by dt is the component of acceleration in x-axis. So this is from here your your acceleration vector will come to be ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. Okay students, so this was all about vectors. Tomorrow we'll start from projectile. Okay students, now I'll discuss the homework solutions of the questions that were given to you in lecture number 1. So question number 1 and 2 are easy, and I hope you must have done that. So I'll be starting with question number 3. So the question says, pick out the any one which is a vector quantity. Okay, so all of the terms you are familiar with, only a new term there is impulse. So impulse is defined as change in momentum. Now as you know, F is equals to dp by dt, that is force is equals to change in momentum upon time. From here, change in momentum will come to be f dt. That means impulse can be defined as f dt. Now because f is a vector quantity, therefore impulse is also a vector quantity. So its answer will be impulse, because that will be a vector quantity. Okay, so the next question is question number 4. The question number 4 says, state with reasons whether the following algebraic operations with scalars and vectors are meaningful. A part of the question says adding any two scalars. So the answer will be no, because the scalars of same dimension can be added only. For example, can you add 2x plus 2y? No. So answer will be no. B part says adding a scalar to a vector of same dimension. Again answer will be no, because a scalar quantity can never be added to a vector quantity. For example, 2 plus 4i cap. Can you add that? No. C says multiplying any vector by any scalar. This is possible, and this I have told you in the previous lectures also. D part says multiplying any two scalars. Yes, this is also possible. For example, 2 into 4 will be 8. E part says adding any two vectors. Adding any two vectors is not possible every time. For example, if you have 4i cap plus 6j cap, they are not in same dimensions, so they cannot be added. Vectors can be added only when they are in same dimension. Okay, so the F part says adding a component of a vector to the same vector. Yes, it is always possible, because the component of a vector and a vector are always in same dimension, so they can always be added. So answer will be yes. Okay, so the fifth question says read each statement below carefully and state with reasons whether it is true or false. So the A part says the magnitude of a vector is always a scalar quantity. So that is true, because as you have calculated magnitude of various vectors, they have always come to be a scalar quantity. So this is true. B says each component of a vector is always a scalar. This is a false, because whenever you resolve any vector, the resolution of that vector, that is the component of that vectors, are always a vector quantity. Okay, for example, x is equals to 2y cap plus 4j cap. Now here 2y cap is a component of x, but that is also a vector quantity. Okay, so the C part says the total path length is always equal to the magnitude of displacement vector of a particle. So this statement is partially true. It is only true if the particle is undergoing a straight line motion, and if the particle is not going a straight line motion, then that will be false. Okay, because as you know, in a straight line only the distance traveled and displacement can remain same. D part says the average speed of a particle is either greater or equal to the magnitude of average velocity. This is true, because as you know, average velocity is directly proportional to the displacement, and average speed is directly proportional to the distance traveled. Now, distance traveled is always greater than or equal to displacement. Therefore, average speed is also either greater than or equal to average velocity. Okay. E part says three vectors not lying in a plane can never add up to give a null vector. This is also true, because if there are three vectors which are not lying in same plane, you can neither subtract them nor add them. Therefore, they cannot be a null vector. So it is true. Okay, so the seventh question says given that a plus b plus c plus d is equals to 0, you have to state which of the statement is correct. So the first statement is a, B, C, D must all be a null vector. This is not correct, because look at this example. If I take A to be 2i cap, B to be minus 2i cap, C to be 2j cap, and D to be minus 2j cap. Now if you add all of them, you will get 0, but they are not null vectors, so this is not true. B part says the magnitude of A plus C equals the magnitude of B plus D. Now if you calculate from here, this will be B. Okay, so now if you calculate, as it is given a plus b plus c plus d is equals to 0. Now if you calculate a plus c, that will come to be equal to minus of b plus d. So that means magnitude of a plus c should always be equal to magnitude of b plus d. So this is correct. C part says that the magnitude of A can never be greater than the sum of B, C and D. Again, if you calculate A, that will come to be minus of B plus C plus D. So that means magnitude of A should always be equal. It should never be greater. So this is also correct, because if magnitude of A is greater than the sum of them, then the answer will not come to be 0. D part says B plus C must lie in the plane of A plus D if A and D are not collinear, and in the line of A and D if they are collinear. This is also correct, because now A plus D will come to be minus of B plus C. So if B and C are not collinear, for example, let us take B plus C is 2i cap plus 3j cap. That is, they are lying in xy plane. So A plus D should also be lying in xy plane. Only then they can be equal. Okay, now if I take them to be collinear, that is 2i cap plus 2i cap, the answer will be 4i cap. So this answer should also be equal to 4i cap. That means this A plus D should be parallel to B plus C, or we can say this should lie in the line of A and D. So this equation is also correct. Okay. Okay students, so after going through this lecture, you can do question number 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 21 and 22 from chapter number 4 of your NCERT book. Thank you.